with anyone. I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me. You could be around with me.
You could be with anyone, and I could be with anyone. You're here with me. You're here with me.
Hey, what's going on, people? This is James from My Take on Reality. This will be one of the last shows I'll be doing with the avatar instead of me appearing on screen. So hopefully folks enjoy it. Enjoy. Pretty soon you'll be able to see hopefully my not newish studio, but I'm doing some things, trying to put some things together. What's going on? Got Lit Mom in the house. Got Rosemont Harris in the house. What's going on, ladies? Lizzie B in the house. What's up, Playboy player? Player from the Himalayas. Carmel Cuties in the house. What's happening? Local Art Switch. What's up? Oh, Jody Pierce Scala. Okay. Full run. I'm going to put on some tunes real quick while we wait for the room to load up. And then we can get started on some of this craziness. All right.
Could be watching chefs burn pots in the kitchen or influencers fake fights for attention. Drama queens with crowns, but no conviction. But now you're here, my addiction. Could've clicked that prank, that mukbang feast, or streams of gamers slaying beats. But you're here with me, not scrolling free, not lost in streams or reality. You're here with me where you wanna be, out the algorithm, just you and me. Could be watching cats knock glasses down, or a dude trying to stunt stressed as a clown. DIY hacks turn smiles to frowns, but you're vibing here, no fakes around sound. This ain't unboxing or ASMR. No clickbait titles, no rented cars. Realest channel in your repertoire. Stay tuned, superstar. But you're here with me, not scrolling free, not lost in streams or reality. You're here with me where you wanna be, out the algorithm, just you and me.
All right. We are back in full effect. What's going on, people? I like I said, I've been searching the interwebs for different content so that I can post these things. And I found a couple issues that I'll be posting probably into smaller, more manageable videos for those who don't want to watch the long form lives. But there were a few questions that kind of came up that I was thinking about. And it in a way, it kind of ties into some of the things that we have addressed in Sister Wives. But per our new format, I want to try to stretch it beyond just what happens with the Brown family and color it into what happens with traditional people, like when people are actually looking at this in their lives, how can it apply to them? Okay. And the first thing that I wanted to talk about was the idea or concept of you know what? Matter of fact, let's put this in a poll. Let's start a poll. I'll say, would it be okay for ex's partner to be to insist on being called mom or dad? Like, so if they were asking or demanding that your child call them mom or dad, let me know what you guys think. I'm gonna run that poll now just to get a see where you guys are before I step into the arena and give my thoughts on that situation, because this is one of those situations that comes up if if you have children with somebody and your relationship doesn't work out or whatever the case may be, whatever the arrangement was, and they are a present parent and the custodial parent or either parent, I won't even say custodial parent because it could be either parent, starts a new relationship with another person and they want that child, your child, to call them mom or dad. Is that appropriate? And again, this is something that we saw, I don't want to tip my hand too much, but this is something we saw early on in season 1 of Sister Wives, season 1, episode 2, actually, of Sister Wives, where Robin was talking to her kids, and one of the kids slipped up and called Cody, Cody. And she said, "Who is he?" And she's like, "Oh, dad." Right. So she was insisting that her kids call or refer to Cody as dad. And then like same, because Robin is coming into the family, she also insisted Cody and the all of them, had insisted that the OG-13 refer to Robin as mom. So what do you guys think? Oh, oh well, there's a quick turnaround on the on the poll, and dare I say, I think this is a my take on reality first. In the first, well, we only have 16 votes. I won't read the poll yet, the answers yet, but after 16 votes, it's pretty heavy on one side. I'm gonna just say that after 16 votes. But yeah, I think that's an important conversation to have, not only for the children, but it's certainly a conversation that I think needs to be had with the adults, all the adults, like including like both parents and everybody involved. Like I think they need to have like a I don't want to say come to Jesus moment, but they need to have a serious talk about how things will be, who's going to refer to who as what. Let's see. Brittany said, if the kids choose to call a partner mom, dad, that's a conversation worth having. But ain't no damn way and any adult insisting on it. Yeah. And that's the crazy part, because I did find just to give a little tease, I did find a video where a woman was insisting. She was very, I won't say she was insisting. She was very upset that, well, I guess she was insisting. I strike that, take the redirect. She did insist that her boyfriend or husband's, I think they're married. Her partner's daughter refer to her as mom. And she was very upset, very animated about the fact that the young lady, in all respect to this young lady, she was very mature in her response. She said, "Look, I don't feel like," this is a young lady. She's probably in her teens. She said, "I don't feel like we have that type of bond yet to where I feel comfortable calling you or referring to you as mom. So I don't want to be fake because that's something you want me to do and I'm not feeling it. So I don't want to just call you that, So what does that mean? And how do we move forward?" And again, I give a lot of credit to this young lady who said, it's something that I don't feel comfortable with. And once, I'm kind of on Brittany's side. Like if the child, especially if the child doesn't feel comfortable with it, I think that immediately stops the conversation. I think that should stop the conversation. Daisy said, "If it ain't no ring, it ain't no mama." Yeah, well, let's, we can even explore a little further with that. We can explore a little bit with that because should there definitely be a distinction between a a wife or husband versus a boyfriend? And even then, like between husband, boyfriend, girlfriend, wife, I think it also depends on how long they've been together, how long the commitment has lasted, that what kind of commitment they have, kind of commitment structure they have. Because first and foremost, I would never appreciate it if me and my wife weren't together and she started seeing a guy or guys or guy, she kind of had like a Rolodex rolling where she was just dating guy after guy after guy after guy, different dude, different dude, different dude. Or even if I was doing it, like different woman, different woman, different woman, different woman. And in each one of these people, I keep bringing around the kids and insisting that my kids call them mom and trying to create an attachment between the people that I'm dating and my kids. I think that is a complete no-go. Like, I think that's for sure, that's not a positive thing because what kids need above anything else is safety, obviously, but they need security. And part of security is consistency. It's having that consistent hand on the wheel. Like, you just don't have people floating in and out of your children's lives, because I really like this person. Oh, they got that nice, this, that, and other, and I really dig them. And then next week you're on to the next. If it's going to be like that, don't even bother in my opinion, don't even bother introducing your kids to the damn people. Let's see. Carmel Cuties, I refuse. I would never be my child being forced to call any adult mom, dad who is just dating their parents. I will never force my children to be uncomfortable with any adults for any reason. Yeah. And even with that, like, I think that we have to be careful as well about these titles and these labels and these things, because to me, I think that what you call people and how you refer to them is very important. And I think that you can diminish a thing by calling everything that thing. What do you mean, James? That's confusing as hell. What I mean by that is simply this. If every man that my kids come in contact with is a father or daddy, then my position as father and daddy doesn't mean anything. The word doesn't mean anything. And it loses its tangible meaning. Like, I have, this is part just from my perspective. I can say that I'm very friendly with my children and we have good relationships, and I can sit and talk to them. I can laugh with them and we can have a good time. But at no point would I lower myself to consider myself their friend. And to me, that would be a downgrade. If I go from I'm their father, and for me to say I'm their father, I'm their best friend, I can be their best, like I can have a friendly position with them. And they're going to have other friends in life. They're going to meet people and generate friendships with people across the board. But as far as I'm concerned, I am their father. And to me, that's a higher, more esteemed position. You could be the father that has open conversations and opinions and share things with your kids, experiences, and do all that. You could be that parent, but and be, friendly. But as a friend, like, I would never call a good friend of mine my father, my dad. That's my dad over there, boy. That's my daddy. We hang out all the time because we that close. These words mean something. To say that somebody's your father or your dad, that means something. To say somebody's your mom, that means something. It's not just the woman that your dad dates. That's your dad's girlfriend, or the woman that your dad marries. That's your dad's wife. But to call them mom just because they fill that position, I think is, like I said, it it lessens the word, you know? So that's one of the things that I would be concerned about. But now, why do people do it? Let's talk about that. Why do people why would somebody want to insist on this? How does this happen? You're going along, everything is cool, and all of a sudden somebody come back, you got to call me mama, you got to call me daddy. I think a lot of times a big driver for a lot of that push is because of embarrassment and ease of explanation. So when people go out to like if you go to the movies or whatever, or you're out in public and you know somebody, you show up as a family, a pseudo family, and you have the child like, all right, Bob, hey mom, Bob, look at me, or dad, Michelle, look over here, Miss Morena, then there's a clear distinction that even though you're with the father, that's not your child, and you have to explain that, that's a stepchild, blah, 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 blah. One, I don't think that it's, just me. I don't think it's that big a deal. I don't think it's that big a difference. It's none of nobody's business how your family is structured or whatever. There's nothing to be embarrassed about, especially now. Like we are no longer in like the post or pre 2000s, because for those who don't recognize, just a little bit of pop culture history in 19 now I'm about to show my age. In 1994 through 2000, there was a show called Murphy Brown, right? A show called Murphy Brown. And on Murphy Brown, there was a woman who was a star of the show, obviously Murphy Brown. She wanted to have a child because she was a professional woman. She was older. She wasn't involved really in a relationship, long-term relationship, but she wanted to have a child. So she went about the business of getting in vitro fertilization to get a child. And that one move on television, national TV, this is back when we didn't have a whole bunch of stations either. ABC, NBC, CBS, I think Fox was ripping. I think that show was actually on Fox. What was pre-CW used to be the WB. And then there was another network called UPN. I forget what they're called now. But they ran that show. Everybody lost their mind. You even had a president, the vice president of the United States came out, Mr. Potato himself, Dan Quayle, came out and lambasted the show, talking about, how they're gonna have women just having babies and the family unit and traditional family is a slap in the face, is disgusting, blah 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 blah. And there was always that upheaval when it came to like just people going against the traditional family. I remember when it became normalized that parents weren't together and they weren't living in the house when you sent home school documents. There was a time when it would be, where's your mom, your dad, and they would have like one address line. Like it was assumed that if you gave one address, both parents lived at that address and they were still together. Like that's the assumption that a lot of school districts had. It was rough. It was like wild. It was like the Wild West. But I think a lot of that stems from that place where people have that insecurity about, what the family structure looks like from the outside. So that's why, people insist. There's also a forced bonding that I think some adults have, and that's kind of your bag. You got to let kids be kids, though. You got to respect the children and their opinions. But I think that in some cases, some of the adults look at it and say, oh, I want to be mom, I want to be dad, especially if they're making sacrifices because the children are also in the house. So they're making sacrifices, they're paying money, they're supporting the children, and they want to be recognized for that. But let's check it out. Let's see what other folks are saying. Betty Aldridge in the house. What's up, Mama Betty? How you doing? Hopefully everything is going well. We've been pulling for you, been sending your hearts in the chat. Hopefully you've been feeling it, feeling that support and that love. Mama Betty said, love blooms and can't be forced, and adults need to respect it, including jealousy. When they decide to call the new person mom or dad, you are not replaced. And I think that that's part of it too, is that there is a part where we also have to recognize, if we're going to be fair, that if you're a parent and your child is calling somebody else mom or dad, that shit is going to hurt. Let me say that one more time, because we got to acknowledge the truth, y'all. That's what we do over here. We acknowledge the whole dang on truth. If you mom or dad and you send your baby over to your ex's house, who is also mom and dad, mom and or dad, mom or dad, whatever, and they have a new partner, and your baby look that new partner in the face and say, hi, mom. Hey, dad. That shit's going to break your ass down, okay? It's going to break you down like lawn furniture. All right? You're going to get folded up like laundry. All right? Your heart is going to get crushed in your chest, and it's going to hurt, you know? But there is a point, too, where even though it hurts a lot, and I get it, there is a point, too, where, you know, if it's a positive relationship, you know, again, it's going to hurt. And it takes a lot of maturity and a lot of praying and seance and meditation. But there's a point where if your kids are benefiting from that relationship and that bond, and they're feeling that bond, why rob them of that bond? You know, because it hurts your feelings. So that, I don't know, y'all. I mean, I'm saying the thing you should say, but I don't know if I'll be able to do it. Like, you know what I mean? I ain't gonna lie. I don't know if I'll be able to do it. I'm saying what you should say. It's kind of like, you know, when Robin said to Christine, you're a liar. That's a lie. When she was sitting on her porch. Christine did the right thing. She just sat there and say nothing and get up out of her chair. She ain't do nothing. You know, that because that's what you should do. But, you know, I'm going to be honest with y'all. The Lord's still working on me. I'm still a work in progress. I might have been up out of that chair and off my feet before I even knew what happened. Both of us will be surprised when I hit that drop kick. You know, you know what I'm saying? Drop kick ass right off the porch. So I don't know. Like, you know, it's what you should say. It's what you should believe. What's right. But let's check this poll real quick. Wait, let me straighten my screen up so I can see a little better. It says, would it be okay for ex's partner? Oh, wow, that sentence is terrible. Okay, would it be okay for ex's partner to insist on being called mom or dad? 8% of you said yes. A couple of people said, I hit the button by mistake. So we'll take that into account. Give it a little fugazi. But some of you said 90% of you, 92% of you said no. So it's not okay. It's not okay. Drop that poll. Okay, hold on 1 second. Let me just see something. Okay. I'll put a Q&A in there. So if you guys want to ask any questions or make any points, you can hit the Q&A. Lemon said, I know you're going with that one, James. Brittany, not Brittany. My younger cousin lived with my immediate family when I was in middle school. We, my sister and I, were told not to use possessive pronouns around them when referring to my parents. Oh wow. Oh, wow. So they wouldn't feel separate. But my cousins call my parents aunt and uncle. Yeah, I mean, I get that because you don't want to, that's very forward thinking for your parents to do that. Um, just because they're trying to look out for the mental health of everybody involved. Commendable. Well, let's ask that question as well. Does that kind of thing, is it more important to shield uh the children who are in the house, like in this instance, uh, you know, Brittany's cousin or cousins, yeah, cousins, or and does that take away from the child's experience, like the freedom to be able to say my mom or my dad? That's interesting to me. Let's see. We had Carmen Cuties. My daughter father married her stepmom when she was 7. My child has never felt comfortable with her stepmom. I would never force her to call her mom. Yeah, I think that would actually, from my perspective, and I'll just give my opinion on it. From my perspective, I really think that that's something that has to be worked out and discussed with the children. And I think it has to originate and come from the kids. Like, I don't think that's something that um you can. All right, Betty, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one. She's about to bounce. I think she might have bounced already. I think that's something that like a kid it has to come from the children. I think that that's something that really has to come from the kids, and something that they feel compelled to do, or something that they want to do. And I would even talk to them about why they want to do it. Not like why you want to do that shit, but like just to get a general feel as to why, do you feel that close to them, or whatever. Because one, I also want to make sure that they're not being pressured into doing it. They're not being forced into doing it because this is something that's going to make the stepmom, or what, daddy's girlfriend, or mom's boyfriend feel more comfortable. Because when push them down and shove, if I'm going to be honest, I don't really care about the comfort of adults when it comes to things like that. Like, I don't care if it's more comfortable for you or not. It's in my mind, as I'm sitting here and I'm considering it. Maybe you guys can change my mind. I don't know. But as I'm sitting here considering it, I think it's about the kids and where they feel more comfortable at, and what they feel more comfortable doing. So, it's if a kid is doing it because they really feel that connection and they really feel that bond with that person, then that's something that, one, should be discussed. It's something that should be talked about. But let's also take this into another direction. I think that is also something that when you're doing that, especially if you're the adult in that situation, you have to understand the responsibility of that title. That's just not an honorific. That's just not something somebody bestows upon you and you say, yeah, I'm the mom, I'm dad, or whatever. Ha ha ha. Fudgy be damned. I think that it's serious. Like, you have to make a commitment. If you're going to step into that role, I think that you have to make that commitment, not just openly to the child or to the other parent, but you have to make that commitment and resolution within yourself that you're going to be there for that child in that capacity. Let me say that one more again. That you're actually going to be there for that child in that capacity moving forward. And I would even say you're going to be there for that child in that capacity moving forward, regardless of what your relationship entails with the other parent. Because that's the other part of it. If you're gonna be dad, you're gonna be mom. Then if it don't work out with girlfriend, boyfriend, husband, wife, you still dad and mom, because let's be honest, dad and mom don't stop because the relationship break up. Dad and mom don't stop. So that's where it gets serious for me. Like if we're gonna agree that I'm dad and that's what the child's gonna call me, then I need to step up and be that person. So, and I'm gonna have videos about that too. Step parents, basically saying that they don't want to do something for their step kids because they got their own daddies or whatever. So we'll be talking about that full bore. Local arts witch. She said, especially for people who are serial daters, kids get really attached. I know an 8-year-old who calls every man dad. Yeah. And that's what I was saying earlier, is that if everybody's dad, nobody's dad. The word loses meaning. And so that's why I wouldn't be a big fan of everybody being called that. That's why I'm not a big fan of, like I said, I like to, being a parent, I think, is an exalted position. I could have tons of friends, but I'm only going to have one mom. You understand what I mean? Like my mom is my mom. And so for me to say to another woman that you're my mother, I think it's, in part, I feel like it's disrespectful to my mom because she made sacrifices. She raised me. She did the things necessary. She poured into me. And so just because I hang out with somebody who, like my dad started dating a woman, my mom's been passed away for years now, but if my dad started dating a woman, it'd be disrespectful to my mom just because my dad is slipping her to, doing a naked mambo with her. Now all of a sudden, this is my mom. Like, no. Hello, Miss So-and-so. You know what I mean? That's where we at. That's where it is. So I think that that's something that kind of plays into it too. Let's see. The Jam, when Robin was coaching her children to do that as kids, were so young, malleable ages. Brianna was like 5 and around. Aurora was maybe around 7 or 8. Yeah, I think they were. I don't even know if they were in school yet. I think they might have been like just in school. So, yeah, I think you're right. And just, because they already have a dad, and then you're trying to, no, this is your new daddy. Well, what about my other dad? No, you can't see him, and they were denying him access. So, yeah, that whole thing was messy. That's why I say you can't use them as examples, because that shit was messy. Tanya Carter, Miss Carter in the house. What's up? If the other parent is involved in the child's life, then I feel it's disrespectful to one to be called such a sacred name that was not earned. Yeah. There no this ain't no everybody get a trophy situation. Everybody get called mom just because you showed up. And you just because you screwing a parent good don't mean you get to, you get ownership of children. So, I mean, I think that's part of it. See, the stepmom was accepted by the oldest child, and she called her mom. She expected my child to do the same. My child quickly let her know she has a mom, unlike her older sister. My child decided. Yeah. And like I said, I mean, it could be a thing where, more people, the better off for the child. Takes a village to raise a child, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's why I'm not, utterly opposed to it. Because the more people the child has in their corner, the better the child fares. But again, I think that it really depends on the relationship that the child has with the adults involved and what they feel comfortable with. And here's the thing. Because even the name mom or dad or brother, uncle, cousin, whatever, I think that those words, those titles only have meaning when because they're relative. And we give meaning and deference to those words and those titles. So if you are point blank, if you're a shit mom, you're a shit dad, them calling you mom and dad doesn't mean anything. Okay? It just doesn't. It doesn't mean anything. Because you could be called, like, your kid could call you mom or dad or call the other parent mom or dad all day. But when they have a problem, they have an issue, they have a concern, they have things going on in their life that they want to share that are special or exciting, they may pick up the phone and call Mr. Tom from next door, or Mr. The guy seeing a mom, or the woman dating a dad. That might be the person that they lean on, the person that they rely on. So in essence, they may never call the other person mom or dad, but they treat them as mom or dad. I know I told this story before about a young woman who worked in a company that I worked before. And she was a vice president of the company, and she made a lot of money, but she didn't spend a whole lot of time at home. And she had a nanny who essentially did everything for her kids. So she washed them, clothed them, bathed them, took them to school, did projects with them when they had to go to sporting events. She was the nanny was the one who went. And the mom, she sent her kids off to college, paid these, they went, mom cracked the checkbook open, paid tuition straight up, no student loans, nothing. Put them in sports cars. Like, I think he had a Alfa Romeo, something or other. Going to college, drop top, car was fat, nice. And she's paying for it. And he's going to Ivy Leagues. Both of them going to Ivy League schools out of state. And when your Mother's Day came around, and the kids called her on that Sunday, happy Mother's Day, blah, 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 blah. They talked to her for a little bit on the phone. She hung the phone up. And that Monday, she heard from the nanny. And the nanny, had mentioned, it was so nice that the kids came into town. It's unfortunate they weren't able to catch up with you. They said they stopped over and they couldn't see you. And the mom found out that the kids came into town. They called her, but they came into town and had dinner with the nanny, or who used to be the nanny. And that lady tore her office up, ran out the office. It was crazy. Right. And it's just the fact that they never called, from, at least as far as I know, they never called the nanny mom, but by all intents and purposes, the nanny was their mom. So as we focus on the title, you have to live up to that title. You have to be that person. A lot of times we'll look at Cody and say, Cody's a good man. He's a good father, but it begs the question, like, was he around? Was he filling that role? Like, yeah, maybe, David might not be dad to Truly, but if David's the one that she talks to every day, he's the one she relies on when she has problems. He's the one she calls. She sees him when he's at the house. She has dinner with him every day. She needs something, she go to David. She don't even bother picking up the phone, calling Cody, who's the daddy. So that's kind of where I'm at too. Let's see. Yeah, I think that's also true. It's a power move like that. Throwing that name out, and sometimes there's that's an excellent point too, because Daisy brought up, because in some cases when the step parent is insisting on being called mom or dad or whatever the case may be, that also could just be a way for them to mark their territory. They're weaponizing the name, they're weaponizing the title, so that way they could hurt the ex. Because like I said, that shit's gonna hurt you. It's gonna break it down. It's gonna break it down. So it can be weaponized. Brittany, not Brittany. If Robin's kids naturally call Cody dad over time, it's one thing. Insisting they call him dad out the gate was 100% wrong. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I say that even if you know you're going to marry him. Like, I think that that's something that has to naturally evolve and develop from the perspective of from the child. It's not something you can force. Let's see. To Jam, things could change for the child later on, especially if the step parent is a loving, involved parent. But that's up to the child. Yeah, I mean, it's I've heard this before about like people asking, what's wife material, what's husband material, and I think that how you the best barometer for what it's going to be like to be a companion to someone is not what they promise to do, is what they are doing. So if you want to be wife material, and demonstrate to your boyfriend or fiance that you're wife material, or you husband material, husband worthy, if you're the boyfriend or whatever, I think you have to be that thing. Because I'm a big proponent that when you get married, your relationship, the only thing that changes really is your legal status, but maybe your name. But your relationship dynamic is going to be your relationship dynamic. So if someone acts a certain way, they're going to continue to act that way. They're going to continue to be that person. And I think that part of it is important as well. So if you're going to be the mom or the dad, act like it. And then that probably would bring them closer to calling you mom or dad than you just sitting down and forcing them to say the words. If you want to be mom, act like a mom. You want to be dad, act like a dad. Don't just sit there and yell at them. What'd you call me? Be that parent. Let's see. Look, Artswitch said, I think Robin was doing everything to ensure she was ingratiated into the family. 100%. I think she was just trying to secure her spot, especially because they, the way they were doing it, there were no legal protections for Robin initially when she came into the family. Like everything was freaking vibes. Like that's the truth of it. That's the truth of it. Like everything is like the sister wives, they try to play it up like, oh, we're all like, equal and fair and blah, blah, blah. It's all vibes. Let's skip down a little further. This is the Jam. So when a step parent is engaged and active, are there optional names instead of dad and mom? That's a good question. Are you allowed other words than dad or mom? What else could they call them other than dad or mom? Mr. Tony, Mr. Frank, Mrs. Lucy, Bobo, Boo Boo the Clown. I mean, what are you going to call them? It's a good point. Great question. Let's see. Jody Periscala. I think in polygamy, they try to keep kids equal by no step parents or kids. I think it depends on the format in which they establish the family. Because in polygamy, you could have the one big family model, which the Brown family professed to have. But there are polygamous families where they each live separately in separate homes. So, for instance, as they did in the later years of Sister Wives, where each wife had their own separate residence, and then on their night, Cody would go over and basically cosplay a husband, and they would cosplay family, and pretty much pretend that there are no other wives or kids around. So your time is your time, and that's your isolated time when you're wifey. And then when the kids leave, when he leaves, you go back to just being the singular family unit. But you guys aren't sitting around trying to call each other brothers and sisters and all that stuff. Because even Cody had mentioned that he's seen families where that was the case, where everybody lives separate and the kids don't know each other and they don't know they have brothers and sisters, or if they are roughly familiar that they have brothers and sisters, they don't really know them or associate with them. Let's see. Brittany, not Brittany. I know one damn thing. Robin and Cody better not say dilly squat about David's role in their kids' lives. Yeah. That would be interesting. I think that would be that actually might be season 21 if we're going to keep it a buck, because that's the only thing they really can talk about at this point. And Cody has kind of set the stage for that conversation to happen because he is making the complaints that David is too involved with the situation. But yeah, I'm kind of in the same camp as you. Like, if he's doing it, how you gonna be mad at him for doing it? For one, for two, you're choosing not to do it, so you can't be mad that he's doing something you choosing not to do, and you just selfishly want it to not be done because you don't want to do it and you don't want him to do it. That's crazy to me. So, but I think that is going to be season 21 partly. No different than when your own kids using mommy or daddy as mommy as a baby, or mommy when they want something, to using mother to point out they are mad. It's still a choice the kids make. I can agree with that. Let's see. Jody Periscow said, I think it was used to have her kids blended. Yeah, I think she was trying to, like I said, I think she was trying to use Robin was trying to use the titles and the aggressive position of, I'm a mother in this family and I want to be equal to everybody because we're one big happy family. Because at that point, she didn't have her arms around the family finances. So she needed the buy-in from the other wives in order for her to be able to secure her position, secure that bag. But once the bag is secured, then all that shit goes out the window. When she realized that she had favoritism on her side, then she didn't really necessarily feel the need to try to blend the family and have everybody, all on the same page. That's why she didn't feel the need to have Christine babysit her kids. That's why she didn't have the need to send her kids over to be watched by Cody. Because even when they all went out of town, for the honeymoon, Robin's mother watched her kids. She didn't even let the OG3 watch their kids, but she's a mother in this family, so. But I think she was trying to use that as a wedge or lever to get into the family. Let's see. In AUB, Cody became Robin's kid's way to fancy heaven. Yeah. Yeah, right. Moving on up. Oh no. This was to Lit Mom said the last two seasons, Robin kept telling Cody if he was going to rebuild his relationships with OG12, she insisted they also rebuild a relationship with her too. Yeah, because I think she doesn't want to have. That's part of the control is she doesn't want Cody going off having conversations that she's not a part of. And more to the point, she definitely doesn't want him out there making agreements to things that she doesn't necessarily have a say in, or things she doesn't agree with, or things that are going to impact her at some point. Let's see. Brittany not Brittany with the Brittany not Brittany with the 9.99 super chat. Said she used the title to forcibly blend them when it benefited her. But when her kids became too dependent on the rest of the family, she used the the Rona rules to divide everyone. Yeah, I think the by the time it was just different stages. So when she first came into the family, she was not secure financially. But after she convinced Mary to divorce Cody and she married Cody, at that point she didn't need the other family's buy-in. So like I think the separation between Robin and the rest of the family occurred well before coronavirus was even a thing. I think coronavirus just merely gave them the excuse to be able to do the thing that they were trying to do the whole time. So basically, it gave them the ability to hit a final cut on the efforts that they already put into separating themselves from the family. Because, I mean, like it or not, when they moved from Las Vegas to Arizona, they are building houses. Even today, I'm sure if I looked in Arizona, I'm sure I could find a builder who just recently purchased a lot, knocked down all the trees and developed the land, and he's building doing a little development, building the development in that area. And if Robin, Cody, Mary, Janelle, and all of them were so interested in keeping the family together, I'm sure they could have found a builder who had fresh lots, who had just started constructing homes. They could have built them a duplicate cul-de-sac out there in Arizona if that's what they really wanted to do. I mean, it might not have been down the street from Dayton School, but they could have definitely been in that area with a new construction if they so desired to do it. I mean, maybe they didn't have, but I'll say that, but maybe at the same time, they didn't have the finances to do it. Because I kind of felt like, again, the decision was made and they were kind of running, so. But thank you, Brittany, not Brittany. Let me give you a little something, something. This weird thing, like something on my eyelashes is crazy. All right. Let's get back. See what folks are saying. Lizzie B. Exactly. She doesn't want to be out of the loop. It's not about relationship with OG13. It's about control of the narrative, perspective, money, Cody, her kids, etc. Yeah, I agree with that. Like, I think, I guess I agree with Lizzie B agreeing. I don't know. But yeah, I 100% agree with that. Like, so it's about like if she wants to be able to shape it, frame it, and force it the way where she wants it to go. And the problem with having relationships with people like that is that your needs are never paramount. So your needs never get met because everything is feeding their needs and what they want to get out of it and how they're dealing with a situation. And I think that's 90% of like what they were saying, like even with the description of that text message, Christmas text message thing chain that they had going on, it fell apart. Is that Robin got on and she tried to make the conversation about her, and she used her youngest kids to try to make it about her and how she was feeling and how this is messing her kids up and how everybody got to feel sorry and rally around her and take care of her kids because they're so deprived and blah, blah, blah. And that blew the situation up. And that's unfortunate because that's who she is. And whether Cody recognized, it's on Cody, because like I said, we can blame Robin for a lot of this, but it's on Cody to recognize what his wife is working with. Like, you brought it to the party. Like, let's be honest. Cody's a person who brought this. This is your friend. You brought her to the party. You need to check her ass. You know what I mean? This is your problem. You got to fix it. You brought her. You fix this problem. She always want to be in the middle of something. You need to straighten her ass out. Mom said I don't see anything on your eyelashes, James. All right. Yeah, I look crazy. I got my hair all growing out, my beard's long. Um, but I got sick. I haven't cut it all down yet. But that will be coming soon. That'll be coming this week, actually. Um, the jam. What's really awful is everyone has to walk on eggshells for Robin's emotions, but is terrible to the children. They were children, and Robin was always bitter, jealous, and entitled. Yeah, I mean it's also weird when you're an adult and you get jealous of a child. Like that's weird. Like you're competing with kids for attention. Like it's really that's what we doing. So I think that part is weird. DeJam also said, your behavior is a language. There are times she verbally acts like she cares, but her actions don't align with those few times she pretends to care. Yeah, you know what? I'd said something about that yesterday with regard to like when you tell people you love them or whatever, because tapping back into like some religious convictions and lessons that I've learned uh and tied into a lot of it. What I'd said yesterday was, you know, faith is an action word, right? It's a verb, it's an action word. You have to practice faith, you have to exhibit faith, you have to be faith, you have to do faithful things. Like it's not enough for you just be like, I believe. You gotta, actively do it. And I think love is also an action word. I think love is not about you just looking somebody in the face and I love you, I love you, I love you. Ooh, I love you guys so much. I would do anything for you. Because how many times have we listened to Cody and men like Cody sit there and say, if some guy did XYZ to my daughter, oh, I'd go to prison. Oh, that day in a jail, they could hold me. I'd do some terrible things to him. And I got my Lowe's or my Home Depot credit card. I'm gonna run that mother up and getting max this, that, and other. I'm getting blowtorches and pliers and straight medieval just because this guy disrespected my daughter. But then at the same time, because I love her, I love her so much. But then at the same time, hey Cody, why don't you call your daughter? No, I'm busy. No, I don't want to. No, I don't. Her mom be acting funny. Cody, why don't you go see about your kids? They're hurt. They need their fathers. They lost a sibling. Why don't you check in on them, make sure that they're okay, so you don't have another loss in your family? No, I'm mad at them because So you want to go to jail for the rest of your life? You ready to go to prison for the rest of your days because you love them so much, but you can't pick up a phone? Make it make sense. Love is an action word. So it's not just about what you're talking about, is what you are about. What you don't talk about it, be about it. Tanya Carter, Mrs. Kata, said, like you said though, James, Cody and Robin were always looking for rent to buy with the other women's equity from their homes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm saying they could have got another cul-de-sac in Arizona if they really wanted to do it. Like, let's not pretend that it wasn't available. Like, the only place they could ever possibly get a cul-de-sac that they ever built a bunch of homes, and a guy who's building homes, a developer who's building homes, they absolutely refuse to sell 4 houses to one family. Like, that is not a thing. Them guys, if you come in and a guy is saying he's developing homes and you come in and say, I will buy every home on your lot, he has zero problem selling you every home on that lot. So that's not a thing to me. I just think that they were never in the market, like kind of what Tanya's saying. I don't think they were ever in the market to really try to keep the family together. That wasn't a thing. That was just something they threw out there. And to be honest with you, if you notice, they took all the equity and all the money that they received from the other wives to ensure that Cody and Robin ended up in a really, really, really nice house. that none of the other wives, let's be honest, none of the other wives would have been able to duplicate that purchase. Those other women never would have been able to buy. Cody was never in a position with these women where he was able to buy or purchase $800 or I'm sorry, it's actually closer to $900,000. He didn't have $1 million per wife to put them up in a house, but that's how much the McMansion costs. The McMansion costs $900,000, almost $1 million. And there was no way he was going to be able to do that 4 times. You know what I mean? So that was never a thing. It was always about him setting himself up in a better situation. So I mean, I don't want to be a ass about it. I'm not, but I'm just saying. And part of me is just like, these ladies should have been looking, like y'all should have been paying attention. Y'all dropped the ball on that shit. Just because if he's sitting up there saying like, yeah, we're going to develop this land and build houses, with what money? So we're going to spend $1 million on Robin's house. Then we're going to build her another $1 million house on Coyote Pass? Or why? And who the hell? Just even step back from that. Let's pretend for a moment that they were going to be able to take, you guys built your houses for $500,000, right? $500,000. You built your houses in Vegas. Then you sold your houses for $750,000. Let's say, just give them the benefit of the doubt. They could have sold their houses for $750,000, close to it, right? When you go to Arizona, barring the fact that it's a more expensive area, but let's pretend it's the same thing. If your $500,000 house went up to $750,000, then when you move to your new area, that's how much you should be expecting to spend for a house. You're not going to go backwards. Like, you're not going to buy your house for $50,000, sell it for $250,000, and then say, I'm just going to go buy me another $50,000 house. If that $50,000 house was still available, the guy who bought your house for $250,000 would have bought the damn house for $50,000. So don't do it to yourself. It's just common sense. And if you're saying, like, even if we pretend that that's not the case, if Robin bought $1 million house for herself, why would she move to a $500,000 house on the cul-de-sac on Coyote Pass? I have $1 million house down the street. Why am I going to downgrade my life and my family to move to a $500,000 house, dumbo? Like, it's not going to happen. Like, that whole shit was dumb. Lizzie B said, it's always a mind game. You are constantly walking on eggshells with that other person when you do something that they consider wrong. It's your fault. 100%. 100%. The Jam. Robin allowed her children to monopolize Cody's time, which created envy and resentment amongst the other children. Here's the thing. And I know this is an unpopular position, but I blame Cody for that. I think that's more on Cody. Because Robin could have asked him, she could have demanded of him to spend more time with his kids, but ultimately it was Cody's decision. Cody decided who he was going to spend time with, not Robin. I'm sure she encouraged it, and I'm sure she wanted it. But, and she probably even say, F them kids. My kids are important. But Cody's, and it's not even a thing where, like, we're talking about step parents and calling people mom and dad. It's not a thing where these were Robin's kids or these were like step kids, bonus kids that Cody had with these other women. These were all his kids. So this was all his choice. He decided to ignore his kids. Now, Robin may have encouraged it. Maybe she didn't, fight him or push him or tell him that he couldn't ignore his kids. but he made that decision. So all that's on him. Like, I think that that's all on Cody. Some people disagree, but that's fine, you know. But that's just my perspective. You got any questions or whatever? Hit me up on my take on reality questions at gmail.com. Hey Meek, how you doing? Good commentary on the speak pipes, Meek. Let's see. My hubby found me a wheelchair today. Score! I haven't been able to walk since I fell. Oh no. Oh no. You know what, Lit Mom? We're gonna put you in put some hearts in the chat for Lit Mom. Let's put some hearts in the chat for Lit Mom. Because them falls ain't no joke. So I tell you what, when you a young buck, shit, you can fall down some steps, son. You can take some steps to the face. You know, get up, pop up, you know, nothing, no problem. Get a little older, shit. If I trip off a curb, man, you have to call a paramedic, son. You had to call everybody. Call everybody. You know, call a lawyer, call a doctor. You know, shit, they might be calling a funeral parlor. As they say, I was hanging out with my family yesterday, funeral parlor. You're hanging out there, call a funeral parlor. You know, you might have to call them folks to come get my ass, boy. Trip off a curb, that might be a rap for a player. Falling down ain't no joke, you know. And that's the thing too, because you get a certain age. I never knew this, but you get a certain age, you fall down, it could kill you. You know, you break your hip and shit, like kill you. I never knew that. I never knew that. That's serious. Nah, Mama Willie, don't be out there going crazy, Lit Mom. You know, tearing the town up. I mean, let's see. I didn't know how Muppet Mouth Robin tried to get her snarky with Maddie, and how she talked to her when they were trying to find a church in Las Vegas. Yeah, she used to say wild shit to Maddie. I don't think she liked Maddie's ass because she was too straightforward. I think Maddie would speak her mind too much. And especially after she blew a spot up. Well, Robin was talking about how she was banging all these dudes before she got married. Right. And Robin couldn't even say that because that bone was about to fall out of her mouth. Robin's a bone collector. She was shot. Cody was like, no, she dated. Robin was like, ooh, that's what I told you. You know what I mean? Like, dude, you with the bone collector. You better shut up. She about to, the skeletons about to fall about her closet. See, Brittany Not Brittany, Cody and Robin remind me of that line from Save the Last Dance. You talk a lot of shit for someone who never says anything. See, Meek. Brand new mom in the family telling her to choose her religion when she's an adult. Not a good look nor cool. Yeah. You can't choose your religion till you get out of the house. Yeah, that encourages, and it's always funny to me too. Like, because we can take a little bit of a parlance on that. That's always weird to me as well, because they always try to pretend like they were cool with certain things when clearly they weren't. Oh, I don't mind if my kids grow up and become free thinkers. That's what we raised them to do. They can choose this religion or something else as long as that's what they choose. But you won't let them explore other faiths or find out about other faiths or even associate with other people from other faiths because you're too worried about them going out finding something. And you want them to be adults when they do it. I mean, it's a church. It's not like they were saying, hey, mom, dad, I want to go out and start doing the X Games or something. You know, it's just insanity. But Karma Cutie's exactly at the jam. I hated watching Robin get mad that Hunter had a problem with her having more children with Cody. Yeah, it's messed up when the kids are like far more fiscally responsible than the adults. Hunter knew how hard it was on them not having all they needed, including attention from Cody. Right. Attention from Cody, and then just the financial strain of it all, because they were newly financially set. And to be honest with you, it's easy to look back on it now, because we know they've been on the air for 20 seasons. But that show, literally from season to season, could have ended any time. So all the money they were making, all that income they were generating, that could have all went away. Quick, fast, in a hurry. So, and then they'd be back eating stale bread. Only difference is now they got, at least 4, maybe 5 additional mouths. Robin, her 3 kids that she brought into the family, and the kid she's saying that she's pregnant with when she came out and said she was pregnant with Solomon. And then there are also promises that they'll, Hunter's looking at down the line, like, okay, they also promised that they would help me pay for school. If they lose this TV job, they're not trying to parlay this into anything else. Like, because if you look around, like, the only thing they were really trying to maximize at that point, it seemed like, was the multi-level marketing business. But it wasn't like they were trying to parlay it into something different to where they could get equal money or bring in equal funds. So yeah, it was a hard piece. Lit Mom said the doc said they should improve when the swelling around the knee goes down. Have another appointment Friday. Prayers appreciated. Okay, that's good. Yeah, we're gonna put you in hearts in the chat for you, Lit Mom. Pulling for you. Let me skip down a little bit. All right, Darlene. You have a good night. Yeah, so, but that's kind of where I was. Like, we started off talking about, forcing people to call you mom and dad, and the dangers and damages that does. And again, I think that this is a conversation. If you're going to do that, I think this is a conversation that should be held between the adults. I think it's something, especially if I were in a situation where my ex-partner has a new partner, and especially if they're insisting that they be referred to as mom, dad, whatever the case may be, then I certainly would want to have a conversation with them outside the audience of the children. So I want to have an ex parte conversation with them without the kids saying children, because I need to understand why it's so important to you that you get called this or whatever, especially if my kid has expressed that they are not comfortable with it. And again, this conversation is rooted from a video that I had saw, and I wanted to comment on it. So what I'll be doing moving forward, I'll still comment on Sister Wives, because, it is what it is. And sometimes the Browns are fun to talk about, but we're also going to be covering different things. And as I see things on TikTok or YouTube or whatever the case may be, I'll try to locate the original clip and then comment on those things. But the whole point too is that I also want to express that I do realize that in some cases, the TikTokers or creators are creating these situations. Okay. And I'm not going to allow those situations. Like, if it's realistic enough, I'll comment on it. If I think it's something that could happen, or a conversation that could happen, or especially if it's something I've seen happen before, I will certainly comment on it or react to it. Just because I think it's a good platform, or at least a starting point, to have those types of conversations. And in fairness, if we're going to keep it all the way a buck, I've been covering the Sister Wives, and most of the shit they talk about ain't real. Like, we're going to be for real. Most of the stuff they talk about ain't real. You know, they talk about, oh, we love each other. We was all one big happy family. Come to find out they all living separate, right? Oh, I love him so much. I love him. I love him. I love him. I love him. You know, Cody's the best father, daddy, husband ever that'll be on the face of the planet. Come to find out, he over at Robin's house 100% of the time. He have sleepovers at Christine's house, get up out of her bed at 6 a.m. and take his ass right across the street to Robin's house, sit there for the rest of the damn day till it's time to go to Janelle's house. And so, I mean, we've done that and we played that game. So there's no reason why we can't look at other situations and real time situations and react to those and have good conversations. That's the way I feel about it. Wendy, what's going on? So that's kind of where I am. Yeah, but we had a really good conversation yesterday for the members meeting. It was really good. Talk about a lot of different interesting stuff. But I was going to do something and I forgot what I was going to do. Ain't that something? Wow. But let's do because I'll get ready to end it here. But I wanted to get some give some recognition for Brittany Not Brittany. Sending the super chat. Appreciate you. Always supporting the channel. Also wanted to give hearts in the chat because, again, when we talk about hearts in the chat, it's just so that we can take an opportunity to support people in our group who may feel like they need to be supported. So initially, let's just do a general hearts in the chat for somebody who may not be able to put in or send in or feel comfortable sending in like a desire to be included and having their name read, but just so that they can feel that power. Let's put some hearts in the chat for those individuals. So that way, you know, we can support each other, because I think that's also important. I just don't want to have have this as the sister wife fan group. I also want to be able to take an opportunity to support people where they feel like they're needed that support. Let's also think about these individuals. Jody Pierce Scala. Hold on one second. Jody Pierce Scala, Carmel Cuties, Megatron, Miss Betty, Kathy Ferran, Allison Gaines, Marlo Peterson, and team, Ty, and of course Lit Mom with her new addition to the house. So she'll be ripping and running in them streets. Lit Mom gonna be in the streets. Tear the road up. So hopefully you have a speedy recovery. Again, like with some of the folks that I call out, I don't get into the specifics as to why we're doing the hearts in the chat. Just recognize and respect them. If you guys have relationships with them and they tell you what's going on with them, that's cool. But I think that sometimes it's just enough to support people, and we don't necessarily have to get into the nuts and bolts of everything that they're going through or what's happening with them. There's also something that Karma Cuties is starting to 100% endorse and agree with, which is making sure that you check on your strong friends. Okay, the people that you are quick to lean on for support, for ideas, for encouragement. The people that you think are like brick house strong, like these are your steel girder people, like the people that you just lean on when you have problems. A lot of times it's easy to look at these individuals and look past at them because they are so strong, and because of the situation, and maybe because of the relationship that they have with you, they don't necessarily come running to you to share their issues or problems. Sometimes, like just in my experience, folks like that will keep their problems to themselves. And the ironic part is that a lot of times they feel like they don't want to bother other people with their problems, right? They don't mind. And okay, fuck it. I'm speaking from experience, from my experience and my perspective. A lot of times, like I could talk to somebody about their problems all day. And I can try and genuinely try to help them with their issues and problems all day, and be 100% there, engaged, focused, the whole nine, and not think anything about it. But when it comes to me or my issues, like I'm very hesitant to share problems and things, challenges that I'm facing, because I don't want to be a bother. I don't want to, I recognize that people got their own stuff going on, and I don't want to tax them with my problems. And to a degree, let's be honest. If I want to be honest with myself, I tell you guys all the time, and this is something I practice, be brutally honest with yourself, and it gives you the ability and capacity to be brutally honest with other people. If I'm going to be brutally honest with myself, there is a point where there's a sense of embarrassment, because you are supposed to have things a little more figured out and together. There's also a sense of, insecurity, because you're like, I don't know how they're going to take it. I don't want to be a bother. I don't want people to think that I have these problems or whatever. So you're reluctant to share, and that's just being honest. But, in a weird way, it's also a thing where we have to learn to get out of our own damn way, because you could block your blessings and you can stop your healing because you refuse to share or refuse to talk or refuse to express what's going on with you. Right? So when you do have somebody who's a strong person, and especially if you have somebody in your life who's very strong, it's important to make sure you check on them and ask them, hey, are you okay? Are you all right? And a lot of times they'll say, yeah, I'm fine. I'm good. No, I'm cool. No problems. No, man, I'm good. Everything fine. Right? But the fact that you ask them means something to them. 1, 2, let me tell you something. If they tell you that they have a problem, just know this too. Shit has hit the damn fan. Okay. It is on and popping. It is on and popping. Right? Real talk. like these are, sometimes it's not normal stuff. It's shit is going wrong, right? There's problems, Timmy doesn't fell down the well type problems, So when you see them, like if they are, you see them and they're very quick to say it, you got to understand sometimes it's just they are at their wits' end. And when you're trying to help folks, and this is what I found out a long time ago, when you're trying to help people, it's not that you're trying to fix them. And it's not that you're trying to solve all their problems and you're going to make it better. You're going to take it upon yourself to make it better. What it is that sometimes they just need a sounding board. They just need to hear that they're not crazy. They just need to say it out loud to somebody. Like, this is what I'm going through. It's crazy as hell. It's kicking my ass. And just get it off their chest, so that way, once they've articulated it, they're able to accept it. And then they're able to turn it around and deal with it. And that's all they need. They don't need you to, okay, we're going to fix it for you. I don't need you to fix it for me. I need you to be there for me. I need you to support me. I need you to encourage me. And I need you to just listen, right? And I think that that's a big thing too, is that we spend so much time, like trying to get our opinions out, that we aren't necessarily listening to one another. And because listening is a skill. That's one of the things I constantly try to tell my kids that shit. Like listening, what we call active listening and communication. Active listening is one of the most powerful tools you could have in your arsenal. Even more powerful than being extremely articulate and well-spoken. Because if you're actively listening, you can start picking up things that people are saying, intentions, subtext, etc., context clues. You can pick those things up just because you're listening to what is actually being said. And it also allows you to be more direct and more to the point with your assessment when you do open your mouth. So you aren't just saying shit. You're actually listening to what they're saying and you're responding to what they're saying what they're actually saying, or maybe things that they aren't saying, but they imply. So active listening to what's going on with them, and being that sounding board, being there for them, because that's very important. And again, this is for like your strong friends, the friends who always kind of have stuff going on, and even as a friend group, I'll even just throw that out real quick. Even as a friend group, we got to be careful, because we do have friends that'll come in and they'll take over they'll take over conversations because they always seem to have all the problems, and they spend 99% of the time when you're talking it out, talking about their problems, because every time you see them, they got a new problem. Right. And it lends very little room for other people to come in and say, hey, guess what? I got a problem too. Let's talk about my problem. So it's just, I think that's the other part too. Like, you got to give your strong friends, or your capable friends, or your empowered friends, you got to give them that space as well. And it's also just the last point I'm gonna make on this is, when you have a friend who goes through things, that strong friend who goes through things, recognize that their lives, even though they come off strong, people are not one-dimensional. So they might be the quote-unquote strong friend, but everybody gets weak. Because as human beings, we experience the full rainbow of emotions and feelings. The most confident friend that you have has areas where they are insecure. The most beautiful friends you have parts of their body or their face or whatever that they find unattractive or unappealing. The bravest friends you have places where they're scared to death. And in some cases, they may even try to overcompensate for those shortcomings by trying to shore up and be even more confident, more cocky. But they're covering up because they're more afraid. They're more insecure. But your strong friends are going to have times when they go through things. They're going to lose people. They're going to lose things. They're going to, whether it's jobs or family or, opportunities, relationships, they're going to lose. And a friend's job is, Brittany said something a while ago which I loved. And I can't remember the exact quote, but it was something to the effect of, being in relationships is an inconvenience in itself. By nature, it's inconvenient. If Brittany's here, maybe she can tell me what it was. But basically, it's just, when you're in relationships with people, by you simply being around and dealing with folks, you're going to be inconvenienced. You're not going to be, it's not always going to be sunshine, rainbows, laughter, and giggles, but it's hard work. And sometimes it's maintenance and making sure that people are okay and listening to those hard conversations, and I think that that's what it's about. So, we're going to look out for everybody. I appreciate everybody doing that. Let me give a huge shout out to the Mega Mod Squad in the house. Hold on one second. Lizzie B, Carmel Cuties, and Brittany Not Brittany, as well as everybody staying chill in the chat. Thank you guys so much for hanging out. We will be back this Tuesday with the call-in show, then Thursday with the Speak Pipe show, and then hopefully I'll have my studio together and we can start doing some big things. But let me give the Mega Mod Squad a little something. And let me know if you guys enjoy this type of content where we talk about different things other than just the Sister Wives fiasco, the Brown family, bourgeoisie, and start talking about some other types of relationships and issues. But that's my take. I'm James, and this has been my take on reality, and I'm out. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with.
'Cause I've been living life right like I could just die any minute. Going for a ride down the side. Piece, yeah.